Thanks for joining.
I'm Reese,
I'm Joe. You're listening to Poly by Nature,
the podcast where you can have your cake and eat it too. We are discussing jealousy today.
Jealousy.
So if you would go ahead and give us a quick definition of jealousy.
I can do that. So jealousy comes from the root word of jealous, which is an adjective of feeling or showing envy of someone or their achievements and advantages, feeling or showing suspicion of someone's unfaithfulness in a relationship.
Oh, I didn't know they had a relationship specific definition.
Yeah, they really did. It says being suspicious of someone's unfaithfulness.
What does your jealousy look like?
When I'm jealous, I'm more quiet. I'm kind of picking at little things more.
Petty.
Petty. Like I'm just kind of like agitating, trying to just get a rise out of you. Because I want you to be like upset because like you did something. You did something that make me jealous. So it's like, we both need to be suffering in the basement together.
I think I'm a little similar in that I get distant.
Yeah.
I probably have an attitude. Probably just my mood would probably just be off.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any like other outward expressions of jealousy.
Yeah. Well, physically, like, I'll come in for a hug or a kiss and you'll be like,
well, that's to me is distant.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess physically and emotionally distant.
Correct. I mean, it's definitely, you can tell when one of us can tell each other when we're like, something's not right there, when you're just not feeling each other. So for this episode, I really wanted to kind of like let you lead this one and, we can play back and forth on this one and really just have some fun diving into what jealousy is, because one of the biggest things right now being poly, people, the first question is, man, you got to be jealous of all these things and she's got to be jealous of you. So have some fun with this.
Well, jealousy shows up a lot of different ways in everybody's relationship is different.
Right.
And every person is different. I would say one of the ways that I probably dislike the most is when it feels like a possession thing.
Okay.
So it's like, you don't own me, I don't own you. I don't dictate what you do, what you like, how you feel about things. So I'm real big on like independence and autonomy in relationships.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean disrespect, right? Like you said, like possession and like no one can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But at the same point,
like,
it's not
because it's like, oh, I don't want my girl doing this or I don't want my girl doing that. I don't belong to you. I belong to me. I make my own decisions. And if I don't do something, then it's my decision not to do something.
Yeah, but there's still some boundaries in there that need to be respected. So sometimes jealousy is the idea of thinking that somebody's breaking the boundary that was discussed, right? So no, I don't possess you and no, I don't own you. You own yourself and you possess yourself. But jealousy creeps itself up from many things, but some of it could be if I don't own you and if I don't possess you, are you, abiding by what we agreed upon, or are you not? Are you, doing something other than that?
I also like to be chosen and not by force.
Okay.
So like, and it goes back to the whole possession thing, is like, if you're with me, I want you to be with me because you want to be with me, not because you think I'm yours or because I think you belong to me.
Well, yeah. I think we connect deeper when you feel freer.
Right.
When you don't feel like I'm telling you what to do or, you have to like abide by these strict rules of how to be in a relationship with somebody that sometimes monogamous feel of we are only allowed to look at each other and talk to each other. And, don't you dare think about, having another friend. That's where jealousy starts, and a lot of the basic ideas of relationships.
So what do you think about like jealousy due to fear? Like fear of losing someone, something, fear of being loved less, fear of being replaced?
Well, that's an abandonment issue when it comes to it. I mean, that's the feeling of like being left alone, being afraid of attachments, being, hey, I've invested in you, right? We've done right by each other. Now you're with somebody else. And is that person treating you different, treating you better? What am I doing wrong that you're over there? And then you start to harbor this jealousy towards like that loss of that person for a moment, because where are you?
I would say monogamous and polyamorous relationships.
Yeah, because in monogamous relationships, if a partner has just a simple friend, then there's some jealousy that creeps in because you're thinking as a monogamous person, when, and I should say we're speaking on how we felt when we were monogamous. Well, what are you doing with that person? Or why do you need that person? Or what does that person actually give you that I just can't give you?
Right. And I think that's where rules come from in both types of relationships, because like in monogamy, it's like, okay, well, you can't have friends of the opposite sex.
It's crazy to think.
Don't look at anybody else
That's
when
crazier.
you with me,
Right.
or something like you can't go to a strip club.
Right. Like, don't even have friends in your phone. Like,
Yeah.
delete contacts out of your phone and delete ideas of friendships past anything that I deem okay.
And like in poly, it could be say, oh, don't fall in love. You can't have feelings. Don't catch feelings.
Right.
No spending the night. Don't do anything without checking with me first. And I have the right to veto or say no.
Yeah. And so those are rules that are kind of like unrealistic.
Controlling.
Well, yeah, it's unrealistic to life because at some point you make these rules to protect yourself, but you're not protecting the relationship. You're just protecting your ego. You're protecting your feelings because you're afraid that, like, you're going to be left alone. You're going to be abandoned or just kind of just move to the side.
I think you just need to man up and like express your fears to your partner or your spouse,
Mhm.
and even ask for that reassurance that you need. Because if you guys talk about it, then it becomes less of an issue that you're holding inside. And I mean, talk about it, not like blaming your partner for your jealousy, but actually having a conversation and saying, hey, when this happens, this is how I feel. It's not your fault, but these are the feelings that I have.
That's the hardest part sometimes, just kind of that explanation of what you're really going through.
Mhm.
When that jealousy or that insecurity comes up, it's the idea of saying, hey, I feel a certain way about this, but being able to discuss those feelings without feeling like a sucker, basically. Like, you don't want to be soft on it. Like, hey, man, I don't know how you feel about that, but, as a man, if I come to you and say, man, this doesn't feel right.
Uh-huh.
It's not easy just to say that. It's like, well, I don't want to be portrayed less than a man. So, okay, well, I'm just gonna be upset, and then I'm gonna be jealous, and then I'm gonna let that jealousy creep out a little bit and become a little petty. Instead of just coming out and saying, I just don't think I understand this and how it makes me feel.
Have you ever felt jealous due to like comparing yourself to someone?
I guess in a certain aspects, no. Like physically, no. Like I don't look at another man and like,
Money.
no. I mean, that's the tough part for me because it's like I don't look at someone and covet anything that anyone else has. So I don't look at a person and say, he's better looking, he's taller, he's got more money, he's got a better car or a better house. It's like those things never really were a hit for me. Now, the things that I will look at another person and get word about is be like, you know, your interest. You have the interest in things that I don't have interest in. So when you bring a friend in that has interest in those interests that I don't have interest in, now all of a sudden I'm like, well, I wish I had interest in those things. Like,
Oh yeah, you do that.
yeah, like you and I have different interest in things, but the things that we don't vibe with or
But
don't
like
connect
you'll
with.
be jealous of something you have no interest in. Like if I go bowling with someone,
Right.
you have no interest in bowling,
I hate it.
but you'll be mad that I went bowling with someone else instead of you. Even though when you go bowling with me, you sit there on your phone
Right.
and you're very unfun to
Be-
have.
because bowling is boring. Like you be throwing the ball down the
But that's
lane,
not
but
the point. The point is that if I go and enjoy my time with someone else who actually participates in the sport
Mhm.
and I actually have fun with, then you like, well, you could have went with me.
Right. I'll just sit in the corner and be on my phone while you bowling. Like and just be quiet about it. And it's learning that like everything that you're interested in, I'll never be interested in all of it.
Right.
And vice versa. I example plants, right? I love plants. Will you go to a plant store with me here and there? Yeah. But
But I'm
like
very bored in there.
you're extremely bored where I can be in there for hours and saying like, look at this plant, look at this soil, and then you're just like, okay, whatever. Can we just get this stupid plant and go? And I'm like, oh my God, look at this. So I think the idea is just that when that interests are popping up and people have different interests in things, we force each other to kind of like try to be in that mode of like, okay, well, let me just sit through this with you. Instead of just being like, you know what, if you can find somebody else that actually finds interest in those
Definitely.
things, let them take over, right? It's like let them have that time because, you know, bowling sucks.
So in the beginning, I think I compared myself a lot because it was mostly you dating. And when you first started dating, you were dating women that looked absolutely nothing like me,
Right.
that were absolutely nothing like me.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, is he really attracted to me? Or is this over here what he really likes?
You felt jealous based on their looks and their what they were perceived to be.
I would like have this feeling like, okay, these women, these girls must be more outgoing, they're more fun, he's more attracted to them. And it was honestly really hard in the beginning. And I wasn't that supportive of like our whole journey. It made it not fun for me because I had that jealousy.
Right.
So my whole perspective on what we were doing, it was just like I would be avoidant, like distant, just have an attitude towards everything that was going on. And I knew that that had to change if I wanted to move forward. So like for me, I had to learn how to fall in love with myself, as cliche as that sounds,
Mm-hmm.
and just enjoy every part of being me.
And then for me, like when you have your male friends, um, it was just me having to kind of let go, trust you on a different level. A lot of people assume, like, you know, with poly and jealousy and things of that nature, that like everything's about sex. So, like, when you have male friends, and like I
Mhm.
tell people, oh, yeah, Reese has male friends, or she's going out, you know, to have coffee or hanging out with somebody, it's like, well, what if they're about to have sex?
Like they just go straight to that.
Right. Like you about to be like, hi, my name is Reese. Sex. And because this in the world of poly, everyone perceives that we're like this overly sexualized couple. And like open means like open a door, whoever walks in, you just have sex with. I had to learn that and even learn to myself, okay, things are okay. And we talked ourselves through this, and I don't need to be jealous of this person, and I don't have insecurities. And I still battle those things on an everyday basis. But every day it gets a little bit easier. Every day I understand a little bit differently. I
Mhm.
understand that bowling isn't for me, but I can let you go with someone else and be okay with that because it's like you're finding your happiness and being able to kind of just be okay in that situation.
Right. And for me, it's definitely different now. Like I can see you with anybody, no matter what they look like or how talented they are. And I can acknowledge that,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to compare them to me.
Right.
You
You should
know,
never compare anybody to yourself. Now I
we're
tell you
talking
that.
about jealousy.
I'm saying like in the real world, like that jealousy rears itself and it makes you feel like you have to compare yourself to
Well,
everybody else.
well, yeah. But like now it's like no matter how amazing someone else is, it doesn't mean that I'm any less amazing.
Correct.
And I had to learn that.
Because you're constantly thinking to yourself, you know, I know on my side, I was in the beginning, I'm like, well, what exactly can a man bring you that I'm not bringing you?
A lot. I don't know.
A lot.
Probably. I don't know. Like I've had some great friends.
Yeah, I'm saying that, but like,
I
I'm
mean, you can't be replaced.
right. I'm the best looking. I'm the funniest.
Yeah. Mm, I mean, yeah.
That sounds like sarcasm.
Let me see. You ever have like a very jealous moment, like past, present, where jealousy, like there's like a physical outward expression of jealousy?
As in, like, I'm ready to fight somebody.
Mhm.
I think the time that we had spoke on a while back, and this was like maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you were hanging out with some friend, and then I found out about it. And then like
Is that when you ran outside?
no, I don't know, maybe I pulled up to his house and I was banging on somebody's door.
Oh, that wasn't 20 years ago.
When was
That
that?
was like 10 years ago.
Like 10 years ago. Like I was ready to like pop off on somebody for something I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't even like it's crazy because in this day,
That's interesting because jealousy has a lot to do with that because you actually knew I was there through jealousy. You were actually snooping and you
right?
used Apple the Find My Phone
I don't even
to
know.
actually
That was 10
locate me
years
when
ago.
I was not home.
Jesus. It's
And
scary.
yeah, so yeah, that is interesting.
But the crazy thing about it is I don't remember what the guy looks like. I don't remember his name.
Of course, you never seen him. You just saw that my location
Yeah.
was at a different place.
Yeah.
And you went there.
I was ready. I was like, I was banging on the door, like let somebody walk out because I'm ready to just nuck if you buck, right? Like I was there because I had allowed the jealousy to creep in, but I was also 10 years younger. I was insecure about what I was, and I was also insecure about us as a whole. We were so at this point being broken because we were finding ourselves having other people in our lives because we didn't really know how to just kind of come back in to say something doesn't feel right, or I need more, or I'm just not happy. So when you don't have those true honest conversations up front, you start to let jealousy creep in a little bit. You start letting some insecurities come in, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you banging on somebody's door ready to fight them. That's the physical. What about you? Have you ever had a physical blowout or a jealousy moment?
I can't remember any specific jealous outward expressions for me. Can you?
I can recall, like, I don't think
I
it's
mean, we've
outward
had like
expressions.
little discussions and arguments,
Yeah,
but not anything like when I get jealous, like it feels like it creeps up for one.
Mhm.
It feels like it like randomly, like whatever the incident is that happens, it randomly pops in my head. And then all of a sudden it's constantly there. And then I start getting like anxiety about it to the point to where I feel like I'm probably having a panic attack. And then you put a touch of anger in there.
Yeah. Anger.
And then next thing you know, I like shut down and I'm distant. And then I'm triggered
Right.
by something, most likely something you do, something you say.
It could be small.
And then it just goes from there. We
Right.
blow up, argument. Back in the day, I used to have to break something.
Right.
And yeah.
And I'm not a great arguer because we could have a disagreement and a few minutes later, I'm like, okay, you done with this? Let's just move forward.
But it's crazy because it feels like there's something so bad happening.
Right.
Like your mind is literally telling you that there's a threat.
That there isn't even, but there's not really a threat.
There is most of the time, there's not really a threat.
Do you realize how like we both just try to come up with things that we made us jealous in the past and we can't really remember what it was because it wasn't that big. We made it so big at the time that it was like, this is the most catastrophic thing that's ever happened to me. But now you're like, so what was that time? You're like, I don't really remember what that thing was. And it's like, it blows my mind because we make these mountains out of molehills and man, you're jealous about what? But, I was just thinking about something. You said you can't recall times, but I remember in the beginning of our poly journey, when we were having a relationship with someone else that was just starting out and it was like the connection wasn't there. And I was kind of like trying to make it connected. And then I realized that like you were pulling back and I didn't think of it as jealousy. I just realized that like you weren't connecting to that person. And maybe when you were saying the words comparison, like, oh, you were doing comparisons, maybe I didn't do enough to kind of subside those things. And so that jealousy didn't creep up or insecurity didn't creep up.
Well, do you think it's that the responsibility of my jealousy is partially on you?
I think that I can control some situations that will avoid small problems and maybe communicate better and say, hey, maybe, and if you say, hey, when jealousy creeps up, you get a little quiet and you start to feel a certain way. If I start to see those things in the beginning before it becomes a panic attack or it becomes an anxious moment.
You can like intercept it.
Well, yeah, and just kind of help subside and say, talk to me about what's going on, right? You can see it boiling and say, okay, how do I, reduce the friction that could be? Because
I think that's a little different than maybe like putting the responsibility of you being jealous on someone else. Like you made me jealous, so it's your fault type thing.
No one can control your feelings. Like you have to control your own feelings. But I can still put in some things that say, hey, I know this may make her feel a certain way. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Like we had a scenario the other day where we got into a conversation about jealousy because of, you had a picture on your phone of a friend. And I'm like, hey, what's with this picture on your phone of a friend? And then you were like, oh, it's not a big deal. And then we kind of got into this conversation about jealousy. Just for reference, like when the friend would call, then there's a picture of you and your friend on the phone.
Right.
Right. And so, but in my world, when I call, I'm a picture of our dog that passed away years ago. So it's like, I'm looking at this like, well, wait a god dang minute. I'm the dog?
I put that on there a few years ago when my dog passed, and I think I was upset with you. So I put the picture of the dog so that I had something positive pop up when you called me.
Right.
And I just never changed it. And I love that picture. And I just never thought to change it. And it's been like 4+ years that I've had your picture
Right.
as him.
And so that was jealousy right there. That was me saying, man, I'm jealous that I'm not at least a picture.
I changed it.
Yeah, but actually, I don't mind a dog.
Well,
I'm so used to it
it's
now.
done. After like 4 or 5 years, I finally changed it.
I think I should have some choice on that picture, though, just so we're on the
No.
same page.
You have no choice.
I should have some choice.
I remember being jealous of your experiences in the beginning because when we started, it was mostly you dating and you were like making new friends and going out with people. And it didn't help that I was an introvert
Right.
and you're a extrovert.
Very much.
So it was like, this comes so easy to you. And
Right.
I was like literally jealous that I had no friends and you did.
And for professional business reasons, I meet people every day.
Right.
So meeting and talking to people.
And I work at home.
Right. So meeting and talking to people comes super easy for me. And as an extrovert, it's just like, okay, how do I add more people? And once I became poly, it's like, okay, so I'm allowed to have multiple friends and just learn from all these people every day. And it's okay. And so I didn't see that side of you or see that was kind of like a jealousy thing. I was like,
Right.
I was
So
out there.
when I started socializing and making friends, I almost felt like, okay, now I got to keep up with you. So it's like,
Who can have more friends?
oh, you spent 4 hours with your friend the other day. Okay, I'm gonna go do the same.
Right.
Oh, you went to this fancy restaurant. Oh, we're gonna go to a fancy restaurant. And unfortunately, part of the reason of me doing that was, okay, so you can see what it feels like on the other side.
Right.
You know, so you be the one with no plans while I go out now.
Yeah. But that didn't really
No,
bother me as much as you thought it would.
no, don't even try it. In the
Not-
beginning,
In the beginning, maybe it bothered me
yeah,
a bit.
we're talking
but,
about the beginning.
okay, because I'm like, yeah, somebody feeding you and I ain't got to feed you, go for it. Somebody got to go hang out with you and, do
No,
something.
but that was real big for me in the beginning because it felt like you were doing everything and I didn't want you to take me handling it well for granted.
Right.
Because it takes a lot of work to be able to be okay with your partner going out and seeing other people, especially in the beginning and dealing with that jealousy and stuff. So when I'm not jealous, I'm not having a problem with it, but let's see how you do.
Yeah, because it was constantly this idea of like, if whatever you can do, I can do better kind of feel to it.
Maybe.
Maybe. But I think we've grown from there.
Definitely. I don't mind jealousy now. Like, because it's never to the extreme with us.
Okay.
If it pops up a little, because if managed well, anytime I've ever experienced jealousy, I've always come out the other side with some type of insight or growth or learning something, an insecurity about myself that I didn't know before. And I'm better able to then manage situations.
So jealousy can be healthy at some points.
Yeah.
That was like, yeah. Well, I mean, like,
I don't know. The word jealousy just seems so bad.
Yeah.
So when you pair the word jealousy with the word healthy,
right,
is
jealousy can help you learn more about yourself and your insecurities. And if you dive deep into those jealous moments, then you can come out on the other side saying, okay, I'm not jealous or I'm not insecure. I'm just not sure of certain things in myself.
Yeah, a lot of our massive relationship growth has come from us facing jealousy and insecurities and issues head on,
Right.
and just digging deeper and asking, what is the real issue? Like, what's under there that's truly causing these problems and these thoughts and these fears?
Right. And then when you start off with small little insecurities and jealousy, over time they just become larger and bigger issues. So what are some ways that we can like see those like entry modes of jealousy? Like how am I supposed to know like something's bothering you? Like,
Well, I just tell you now.
yeah.
I think communication first is like the easiest way. Proper communication, like without blaming or having it be an argument.
Hmm.
You should be able to express yourself and how you feel without judgment or shame or anything like that.
So people listening to us right now are saying, I'm dealing with somebody who's extremely jealous of everything that I do and they feel a certain way about that. You want to go in and say, okay, start communicating better, start having better conversations up front about how you feel.
Yeah.
Okay. If it works for everybody. Because I'm telling you, there's some people out there who are just like, you know, I know guys who have girlfriends and their girlfriends are extremely jealous of everything, in their lives.
Hmm.
And my male friends that I have equate that to like, yo, she just loves me deep, bro. Like, she crazy, bro.
Yeah, no.
She's jealous, she's crazy. She goes through my phone and like, she jocks me all over the place and like tracks me.
See, that's the issue. I think that guy then has an issue to where they equate that to love.
Mhm.
So it's not just bad that person who's jealous who has the issue. They both have the issue.
In a poly relationship, then, in that jealousy, if that reared its same head, is it the scenario like, okay, if sex becomes a thing, like, am I jealous because you're having sex with someone else? Or am I jealous because you're spending time with someone else?
Mhm.
Am I jealous because, maybe you're going to a place that used to be our place or doing things that we used to do. So, in a poly relationship, even though you can't control my jealousy,
Yeah.
you have to at some point kind of put me in a way to succeed and say, okay, hey, maybe are you feeling this way because of certain things? And then as my partner, maybe just coming to me and saying, how do you feel about this? And then being able to hear me say, I don't like this. I don't like him. I don't like her.
Well, I wouldn't stop talking to somebody just because you didn't like them. Because I wouldn't even think you'd have a true basis for not liking them.
Right. Cause I don't know much of the
Exactly.
people. I mean, like,
So whatever image you have in your head will just be made up by you.
right. No, I understand. I can appreciate that.
Mhm.
I think that just makes it easier. I think in our relationship, it's easier for me not to know much past what I need to know. If we have a question, we'll ask the questions about, situations or things. But a lot of times I don't really ask much
Oh,
questions
you're
to you.
talking like when we go out?
Yeah, like I don't really want to know, I don't want to know much. I don't want to dive deep into like, how was your date? And, I'll ask you, hey, how did everything go? But in the real world, I don't, to kind of control my insecurity and jealousy, I find myself saying, maybe I don't want to know too much.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't want to dive into what's going on an everyday basis as a friendship level, right? So I'll pull back a little bit because it'll kind of help me stay secure in myself. I don't want to hear like, oh, we went to this great place and we had this amazing food. And I'm like, well, I guess I ain't going to that place, right? I don't want to do that. So I kind of pull myself back. But I have the bad motion when I come home from a date or going out with somebody. I'm like, let me tell you all about this without you even trying to ask me anything. I'm just kind of like a bit of information. Like I'm just like,
Well,
here it is.
honestly, I don't mind that now.
Mhm.
I think it used to bother me before. I don't mind that now because I view jealousy differently.
Right.
And I view you going out differently, like my perspective. Like it's not a bad thing.
Right.
Like it's a good thing to me. Like sometimes I want you to go out. Sometimes I need my space.
I get it. Trust me, I understand it. You'd be like, it's time
So
when you're going out with your little friends. But I know we need to wrap it up soon. So
no, so I used to get like I would get frustrated about my jealousy because I wanted to do better. Like I didn't want to be jealous.
right,
Like I am in a poly relationship by choice. Like
right,
I want this to work. I want us to get to the point where we make our own decisions about who we want to be around, how we spend our time, and the people that we love and interact with.
of course.
So being jealous kind of holds you back from that.
Right. You can't be a real poly couple and
Well,
in our world
you
and
can
be
you can
right. Well, I should take that back. You can't be what we want to be as in a poly couple
and have a very severe jealous
and be
issue.
jealous.
Yeah.
And that's what we're starting to learn every day. Little by little chinks in the armor are starting to come out and say, okay, how do we fix these and how do we repair these and how do we get better on the next go around? So every time something comes up, it's like, oh,
Right.
we've experienced this before. Maybe not on this scale, but we've experienced on this other opportunity. So Let's learn from that. And so every day we get a little bit better into our ultimate goal of being that poly couple that's just like, man, we figured most of this out. Now we may never be perfect, God willing, we'll never be perfect because we can't get there. But we can kind of strive for that progress every day.
Right. And just being better with each other is enough motivation to just get through moments of jealousy or any type of conflict. Like we get through issues fairly quickly compared to what we used to do in the past where we go days without speaking to each other.
You did that. I mean, let's clear the air on that one.
Okay, you do it too. Matter of fact, you do it like recently. You will pull back from me for a day max.
Chase me.
No.
But you should.
No.
When I pull back, that doesn't mean I'm pulling back because I don't want you around me. I'm pulling back because I'm like, okay, you need to come.
I'm going to give you your space.
Yeah.
Then when things are settled, the smoke is settled, emotions are gone, then we can come together and speak.
And I'm fine with that, but don't give me too much space because then I'm just like, now I'm frustrated.
No. If you distance yourself for 24 hours, I'm going to let you do that.
And I'm fine with that. But I also know at some point, if I ask you if you're hungry, that means I'm trying to give you a peace offer. Like, whatever, I don't want to talk to you. You hungry? Like, because that's, I know one of your love languages is food. So to close this out, we've kind of been talking about jealousy for a little bit here. Do you feel like we're getting in a path of being better with each other about jealousy as a whole? Do you feel like as a scale of like 1 to extremely bad that we're relatively low on the jealous scale?
Yeah. I think we do pretty good. I mean, I think jealousy is not a bad thing. It's not a horrible thing. Jealousy exists. You just got to learn how to manage it well. Yeah. And if used properly, it can be a great tool just to help grow your relationship and grow closer to your partner or your spouse and really figure out your relationship and what works for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think once you start getting to the root of what makes you jealous and insecure, you start to look in yourself in the mirror and say, hey, these are things that I need to fix before I can ask my partner to do anything different than what they're doing. So
I like that.
It's one of my little things I like to say that I just kind of came with on the fly. But opportunity just to be a better person is amazing. And once you kind of start digging into yourself a little bit, you become a way better partner. So if I'm jealous on something or I'm insecure about something, it's because I haven't found it in myself and said, okay, well, why haven't I gotten to this level of acceptance? And why haven't I gotten to this level of being okay with certain situations or things in life? So jealousy and insecurity just comes from not being okay with yourself.
I agree.
Hey, thanks for listening. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
And connect with us on social media. You can find our links in the description.